I woke up to the soft beeping of a heart monitor and the cold sting of an 4 in my arm. My vision was blurry, my lips were dry, and my body still felt heavy from anesthesia. I blinked slowly, trying to remember where I was, when the door opened. And that's when I saw him, my husband Landon, standing in the doorway of my hospital room, holding another woman's hand. She wasn't hiding. She wasn't embarrassed. She didn't even look away. She smiled, the kind of smile someone gives when they've already taken your place. And then Landon said it. "Since you're awake now, we need to talk. I'm leaving you. I want a divorce." Just like that. While I was still half conscious. While I was still recovering from emergency surgery, my throat tightened, but no sound came out. Then, as if delivered by fate, a nurse walked into the room just in time to witness everything. The girlfriend smirking. Landon shifting impatiently. Me lying there unable to move. The girlfriend squeezed his arm. Landon cleared his throat like I was the one making the situation uncomfortable. "You'll be fine, Raina," he said, rehearsed and cold. "We've grown apart. I found someone who supports me. Someone who actually appreciates me. Have you ever been betrayed at the exact moment you were the most vulnerable? When you physically couldn't defend yourself? When your heart was exposed and someone decided that was the best time to strike? If you've ever been blindsided, if someone has ever replaced you before you even knew you were losing them, then hit that like button. Because this story, this revenge is for you. Leave your story in the comments. You never know who needs to hear it. Let me take you back to the beginning. I'm Raina, and this is how I quietly destroyed a man who thought he could break me in the moment I was weakest. Intro. Who I am, my name is Raina Hart. I'm 42, and I live in a town called Clearwater Ridge. A place where everyone knows everyone else's business before breakfast. I'm a high school guidance counselor. The kind of person teenagers come to when their world feels too heavy or too confusing. I help other people make sense of their lives, but here's the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes, the counselor forgets to take care of herself. I've always been a quiet person. Not shy, just observant. A listener, a thinker. Someone who sees more than she says. People like me get underestimated a lot. They confuse gentleness with weakness, patience with passivity, kindness with naivety. But quiet people? We pay attention. We notice the cracks long before anyone else does. I just didn't realize how deep those cracks in my marriage truly were. Toxic person intro. The man behind the mask, Landon Hart. The man everyone in Clearwater Ridge adored. Charming, clean-cut, talented, always ready with a perfect smile. Neighbors loved him. Coworkers admired him. Strangers trusted him instantly. And for years, he played the role of supportive husband flawlessly. People would say things like, "Raina, you're so lucky. He's such a catch. He worships you. You two are perfect." But what people didn't know was that Landon didn't love me. He loved admiration. He loved being praised. He loved being seen as the perfect husband, even when he was far from it. Because behind closed doors, if he wasn't the center of attention, he pouted. If he wasn't praised, he became cold. If he wasn't admired, he felt threatened. He needed applause the way plants need sunlight. And if you didn't clap loudly enough, he made sure you paid for it. I didn't realize how fragile his ego was until another woman came along who fed it constantly. A woman named Sierra Holt, a 29-year-old fitness trainer with an Instagram full of quotes like, "Choose yourself first. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Surround yourself with people who elevate you." Funny how she never applied those quotes to other women's marriages. But Sierra wasn't the real problem. Landon was. Because he didn't just cheat. He replaced me while I was still standing right in front of him. Landon didn't become cruel overnight. He started small. Every time I expressed concern about his long nights, his gym obsession, his sudden secrecy, he dismissed me. "Relax. Raina, you're imagining things." He repeated it so often I almost believed him. Anytime he wanted something expensive, new clothes, new gear, luxury watches, weekend trips without me, If I questioned the budget, he got cold. Other wives are supportive. You make everything difficult. It was subtle. Then it was and single quotes t** the dinners he skipped. The conversations he avoided. The way he walked into a room and looked right through me as if I were furniture. He wasn't leaving the marriage. He was dissolving it quietly, piece by piece. Money began disappearing. $150 here. 400 there. Then large withdrawals he claimed were for business opportunities. I later learned those opportunities had a name. Sierra. The moment he said, "If you took care of yourself like Sierra, maybe I wouldn't feel so trapped," was the moment something inside me fractured. I remember standing in the kitchen, dish towel in hand, feeling like the floor had tilted beneath me. He spoke her name with comfort. He spoke my name with inconvenience. 2 weeks later. The pain started. Sharp, stabbing, unbearable. I collapsed in the school hallway. Students panicked. Teachers rushed over. Paramedics carried me away. Emergency surgery. A ruptured ovarian cyst. Life-threatening if untreated. While doctors stabilized me, while nurses worked on my unconscious body. Landon went to the gym. With Sierra. They posted a smiling workout selfie. He didn't arrive at the hospital until a mutual friend called and asked why he wasn't there. He showed up 20 minutes before. I woke up, annoyed. Not concerned. Then came his announcement. And Sierra held his hand through the entire speech like it was her moment. Like she was proud he chose her over a wife, lying weak in a hospital bed. I stared at them. Tears burning behind my eyes. Not because of heartbreak, but because I finally understood this wasn't carelessness. This wasn't emotional distance. This wasn't a mistake. This was cruelty, deliberate, calculated, convenient. Cruelty. And that was the moment I stopped breaking. That was the moment my mind shifted from pain to clarity. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I didn't fall apart. I simply said, okay. Because Landon thought he was ending something. But really? He was starting the silent revenge I never knew I was capable of. Landon stood in my hospital room with his girlfriend holding his hand. He asked for a divorce. I said, okay. But inside, something powerful woke up. Something he never expected. This is where the quiet revenge truly begins. The moment Landon left the hospital room, dragging Sierra behind him like a trophy, the nurse gently closed the door and approached my bedside. She didn't speak. She didn't ask questions. She simply squeezed my arm. A small human moment of compassion. And that small kindness snapped me back into myself. I took a slow breath. Not because I wasn't in pain, but because pain was no longer my priority. I needed clarity. I needed a plan. I needed to understand how deeply I had been betrayed. I needed information. Quiet people have a secret advantage. When we don't react, toxic people show themselves faster. Landon assumed I was too weak, too emotional, too blindsided to fight back. Good. Let him think that. Let him believe he had already won. Quiet revenge starts with silence. Not out of fear, but out of calculation. I spent the next few hours replaying everything I'd missed over the last year. The gym obsession. The withdrawals. The secretive texts. The sudden trips. The disappearing Saturdays. The new cologne. The way he flinched when I touched his phone. My mind mapped everything like a puzzle, finally revealing its image. And once you recognize a pattern, you can trace it back to its source. So I made a decision before I confronted him. Before I questioned him. Before I filed for divorce. I would investigate every single thing he thought he had gotten away with. 2 days later, I was discharged. Landon didn't offer to pick me up. Sierra posted a gym selfie captioned, "Energy speaks louder than words." I rolled my eyes and called my friend Elise to pick me up. She hugged me tightly. "I know what he did," she whispered. "Everyone knows." He didn't even try to hide it. I inhaled slowly. Good, then I won't hide either. When I walked into our house, my house, the reality hit me like a cold wind. Half of his closet was empty. Drawers pulled open. Clothes missing. Suitcases gone. He had been planning this for weeks. Probably months, and that's when I found the first clue. A gym bag he forgot under the bed. Filled with receipts from hotels I'd never heard of. A silk scarf that wasn't mine. A bottle of expensive cologne I didn't recognize. And a folded note with Sierra's handwriting. Maybe next time she noticed. I stared at the words for a long moment. Not with heartbreak, with clarity. Sierra wasn't just comfortable being the other woman. She wanted me to know. She wanted to replace me. She wanted the life I built. And that was her biggest mistake. Because when you underestimate a quiet woman, you hand her the keys to your own downfall. When betrayal is emotional, people lie. But money? Money tells the truth. I pulled out our financial records, something Landon always said was too stressful for me to worry about. Translation, he didn't want me to look, and when I did, I saw it. Thousands of dollars missing. Transfers labeled as business expenses with no business. Hotel charges at places he claimed he'd never been. A $3,700 jewelry purchase 3 months earlier. He never bought me jewelry, but Sierra had been wearing a new necklace in her recent post. Interesting. Then I found something worse. He had opened a secret joint account. Not with me, with her. And he had used our marital funds to do it. The betrayal wasn't emotional anymore. It was financial. It was calculated. It was actionable. And I documented everything: screenshots, statements, copies, photos. No yelling. No confrontation. Just quiet. Meticulous preparation. Landon believed I was technologically clueless. Another mistake. I logged into our shared phone plan account. Every number he texted. Every call he made. Every location pinged. All stored. All accessible. All mine now. Patterns emerged every Tuesday and Thursday. His phone pinged at the Sunset Inn. Calls to a realtor about an apartment he claimed was for a client. Dozens of messages with Sierra labeled as Mark. Work. I felt my heartbeat steady. The truth wasn't painful. The truth was fuel. I wasn't collecting evidence for revenge. I was collecting evidence for liberation. The next day, I went grocery shopping. Head high, shoulders straight. People stared. Some with pity. Some with curiosity. Some already knew. Clearwater Ridge was a small town. News traveled. As I reached for a carton of milk, 2 women whispered at the end of the aisle. Did you hear? Landon left her right after her surgery. With that trainer girl. Unbelievable. She deserved better. Always did. And then something happened. People began coming up to me quietly. A receptionist from his gym. A neighbor. A coworker of his. Each accidentally mentioned details. Oh. He was at the gym twice a day for months. I saw him and that trainer leaving together late at night. He told everyone you were controlling. He said he was practically single. I didn't react. I just listened. Every word was a thread. And threads make nets. That night, I sat at the dining table, the same one where we'd shared years of meals, and spread out everything. Receipts, bank statements, photos, messages, notes, stories from neighbors piece by piece. The puzzle revealed a man I didn't recognize. A man who thought he was clever. A man who thought I was blind. A man who believed he could rebuild his life with Sierra without consequences. But he made one fatal miscalculation. He tried to destroy me while I was still conscious. He thought I would shatter. He thought I would beg. He thought I would break. But all he did was wake me up. And that awakening wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It wasn't explosive. It was quiet, steady, cold. The kind of quiet that comes before a storm. And that's when I decided. I wasn't just going to leave him. I wasn't just going to expose him. I was going to dismantle the life he built with his lies, carefully, silently, piece by piece, until he was left standing in the rubble he created. Just before midnight, I received a text from an unknown number. Raina. I need to talk to you. It's about Landon. I stared at the message. The typing bubble appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally. Please. It's important. It was signed, Claire, one of Landon's coworkers. My pulse quickened, not from fear, but from anticipation, because when a toxic person thinks they're in full control, that's when their mask slips hardest. And I was about to learn something that would turn this entire investigation upside down. Something that would change everything. Something even Sierra didn't know. A. Coworker of Landon's, Claire, texted me late at night. I need to talk to you. It's about Landon. I didn't know it yet, but what she was about to tell me would flip my entire understanding of his betrayal upside down and give me the exact weapon I needed. The next morning, I met Claire at a quiet coffee shop across town. She looked nervous, eyes darting to the door every few seconds. Raina, she whispered, leaning in. I shouldn't be doing this. But you deserve to know. Know what? I asked, calm, steady. She exhaled sharply. Landon wasn't just cheating emotionally. He was cheating financially. At work, my stomach tightened, not with pain, but with a strange, sharp clarity. She continued. He's been using company funds for months. Personal expenses, hotel rooms, gifts, gym memberships. Even a down payment on an apartment he told HR was for client staging. I stared at her, absorbing every word. He kept turning in altered receipts, she said. He thought nobody would notice because he was the top seller. But the finance director started digging. They're building a case. My heartbeat slowed. Steady, cold, focused. So the company knows? I asked. Not yet. Just the finance director and me. And now, you. And Sierra? I asked. Claire shook her head. No idea. He's lying to her too. Of course he was. A man who lies once lies everywhere. Then Claire placed something on the table, a small flash drive. This is every doctored receipt, every fake reimbursement request, every invoice he created. If HR sees this, he's done. I lifted the flash drive gently. Why give this to me? Her eyes softened. Because you've always been kind. And he's always been cruel. And sometimes... Her voice cracked. Quiet women deserve justice too. I nodded slowly. Thank you, Claire. When she left, I didn't feel relief. I felt alignment. All the threads I had been collecting, emotional betrayal, financial betrayal, legal misconduct, suddenly formed a single, powerful rope. One I could now pull back home. I placed everything on the dining table. The hotel receipts, the bank records, the secret joint account, phone logs, social media screenshots, witness statements. Claire's flash drive with evidence of fraud. I stared at the pile. This wasn't just proof. This was an arsenal. And I began mapping out my revenge. Not loud, not dramatic, not messy. But surgical, strategic, unavoidable. The goal wasn't to scream and expose him. Randomly. The goal was to remove every piece of his life that he took for granted. His job, his reputation, his finances, his stability, his shiny new image with Sierra, his sense of superiority. And most importantly, the illusion that he could betray a quiet woman without consequence. I consulted a divorce attorney, a woman named Marilyn Pierce. Sharp as a razor and calm as still water. After reviewing the evidence, she leaned back and said, Raina, you're in a better position than you think. How so? She held up the financial statements. This isn't just infidelity. This is marital asset misuse. Thousands of dollars diverted for an affair. Legally, we call that dissipation of assets, and it means you're entitled to compensation. I exhaled slowly. And the secret account? Strengthens your case. And the flash drive? She smiled. That's not personal wrongdoing. That's corporate fraud. If his company sees this, he could lose everything. I swallowed. I don't want him in jail, I said, voice quiet. I just want him to understand he cannot destroy people. And he will, she said. Men like him always fall hardest when they think they're untouchable.
I didn't confront him. I didn't message him. I didn't show any anger. Instead, I sent him a short, emotionless text. We need to finalize the divorce. Let me know when you're available. He replied instantly, of course. Wow. No fight? No drama? I knew you'd finally understand. Sierra says this is the best for all of us. I smiled. Let him feel safe. Let him feel victorious. Let him believe the woman he betrayed is still broken. Because broken women are predictable. Quiet women are not. 3 days later, I received a call from an unknown number. It was Sierra. Raina? She asked softly. That I didn't reply at first. I wanted her to sit in her discomfort. She swallowed. I just want you to know I didn't mean to hurt you. Lies. But I stayed silent. And I thought you should know. Her voice lowered. Landon told me you were crazy. That you were unstable. That you were controlling him. He said you were obsessed with tracking him. Interesting, as so he was rewriting history for her. Painting himself as a victim. Turning me into the villain. Classic narcissist behavior. Then Sierra added. He also said he'd be getting a huge promotion soon, so finances won't be an issue. So he was still expecting a raise. A bonus. A future with that company. He had no idea his entire career was already sitting on my dining table. Thank you for telling me, I said finally. She exhaled, relieved. I hope someday you forgive us. I didn't respond. I simply hung up. She thought she was clearing her conscience. What she actually did was confirm something critical. Landon's entire identity relied on his job, but if I removed that, his world would collapse. A week later, I received an invitation in the mail from Landon. He wanted me to attend a community real estate awards luncheon. He was receiving an award for Outstanding Mentor of the Year. The irony nearly made me laugh. Of course he wanted me there. He wanted to parade his new life in front of me. He wanted applause. He wanted control of the narrative. This was perfect. Not for revenge, not yet. But for positioning, because the one thing toxic people fear most is losing control. And at that luncheon he would lose all of it. Not through yelling. Not through confrontation. But through timing, because his company's HR director was going to receive an anonymous file that morning. A file containing the fraudulent receipts, the doctored reports, evidence of money laundering, proof of misuse of company funds, and I, the quiet wife he discarded in a hospital bed, would sit calmly as his world unraveled in front of all the people he wanted to impress. The night before the luncheon, I received one more message from Claire. HR opened an investigation. They'll be at the event tomorrow. Be ready. Ready? I'd been ready since the moment he walked into my hospital room holding another woman's hand. That I wasn't going to expose him with screaming. I wasn't going to announce anything. That I was simply going to let the truth walk through the door and take its rightful place. That night, as I stood in front of the mirror, something hit me. I didn't look like a broken woman. That I looked like a rebuilt one. Calm. Centered. Calculated. Steady. Not vindictive. Not rageful. But intentional. There is a unique kind of power in knowing the storm is coming. And you're the one who wrote the forecast. This wasn't just revenge. This was reclamation. That I wasn't punishing him. I wasn't attacking him. That I was simply returning every consequence he had earned. And tomorrow Landon's entire facade, the perfect husband, the perfect employee, the perfect mentor, the perfect man, would crumble in front of the exact crowd he was desperate to impress. And all I had to do was sit there. Landon invited me to a public awards luncheon where he'd be celebrated as Mentor of the Year. He wanted applause. He wanted admiration. He wanted me to witness his new life. What he didn't know. His company's HR and finance directors had just received a file exposing his fraud, and they were planning to confront him today, at his own celebration. All I had to do was show up. The event was held in a large banquet hall decorated with golden tablecloths, white roses, and those small name cards that tell you where you belong. I found my seat, table 12. Across the room, Landon spotted me. His smile spread immediately. Arrogant. Pleased. Victorious. He whispered something to Sierra, who was glued to his side like she had been born there. She flicked her hair and smirked at me. He thought I was here to admire his success. No, Landon. I was here to witness your collapse. I stayed calm. Soft smile. Hands folded in my lap. Composed. Quiet women are always underestimated, until the moment they are not. Halfway through the luncheon, the host stepped onto the stage. And now the award for Mentor of the Year goes to Landon Hart. Applause filled the room. Landon rose from his seat proudly, squeezing Sierra's hand. She glowed like a woman who believed she had won the lottery. He walked to the stage, accepted the glass award, and began speaking. "I couldn't have done this without the incredible support of the people in my life," he said dramatically. "My colleagues, my clients, my beautiful partner." His eyes flicked towards Sierra. "She inspires me every day." People clapped politely. My heartbeat stayed steady. Timing was crucial. Right on cue, two people slipped in through the side doors. The HR director and the finance director, both scanning the room with grim expressions. They weren't here to celebrate. They were here to confront. As Landon continued rambling about leadership and integrity, HR quietly approached the stage. The host, confused, stepped aside. The HR director leaned into the microphone. "I'm sorry to interrupt," she said, voice tense, "but we need to speak with Mr. Hart immediately. This cannot wait." The entire room went silent. Landon froze. His smile faltered. Right now," he stammered. "Yes," HR said firmly. "In private." The finance director added, "We have received substantial evidence requiring urgent review." The crowd murmured. Sierra's face drained of color. For the first time in years, Landon looked small. HR escorted him to a side conference room. I stayed seated, sipping water calmly. But trust me, I heard everything. The room wasn't soundproof. The confrontation began with the finance director dropping a stack of printed transactions onto the table. "Mr. Hart, these receipts are fraudulent. And these are personal expenses written off as business costs. And this," HR added, showing the flash drive, "contains evidence of altered invoices." Landon stuttered. "There must be a mistake." "There is no mistake," finance interrupted. "We verified each item. And this is grounds for immediate termination," HR said coldly. Sierra, who had followed them inside, gasped. "Termination? What does that mean for the promotion?" "There is no promotion," HR answered sharply. "There will likely be legal repercussions." Silence. Then, "Who did this?" Landon's voice exploded. "Who sent this?" I almost laughed. "You did, Landon. You built your downfall with every lie." I simply handed people the truth. Through the glass window I saw his face turning red, then purple. He paced wildly. "This is ridiculous. I am the top seller. I am the face of this company." HR remained unmoved. "Not anymore." Then came the final crack. Sierra stepped back from him. "You told me everything was fine," she hissed. "You said you had money. You said this company loved you. I did this for us." Landon shouted. "For us." Her voice dripped disbelief. "You used company money for our dates? Our hotels? Our apartment? Are you insane?" Every head in the hall turned at that one word. Apartment. The HR director lifted an eyebrow. Apartment? With company funds. Sierra froze. Landon glared at her violently. "You idiot. Why would you say that?" "Don't yell at me," she snapped. "You told me she," Sierra pointed toward me, "was a controlling nightmare. You said she didn't deserve anything. You said." HR held up a hand. "That's enough. We have what we need." They stood. "Mr. Hart, please surrender your badge. Your employment ends today." The words hit him like a blow. He collapsed into a chair. No, you can't do this. I need this job. You don't understand." "We understand completely," HR said. "And the authorities will understand too." HR escorted Landon out of the conference room, back through the main hall. Every guest watched silently as he stumbled past in humiliation. His award had already been removed from the stage. His girlfriend had already abandoned him. His colleagues were whispering, not with admiration, but pity, disgust, disbelief. He passed my table. Our eyes met. He stopped. "You," he whispered, voice cracking. "You did this." I lifted my glass, not in mockery, but in silent acknowledgement. "I didn't do anything," I said softly. The truth did. And I meant it. Because revenge isn't about destruction. Revenge is about revelation. Within a week, Landon was officially terminated. HR opened a legal investigation. His real estate license was put under review. His secret account was frozen. Sierra broke up with him publicly, captioning a long post about toxic men. Friends stopped returning his calls. His reputation cracked like thin glass. He texted me repeatedly. "We need to talk. This is getting out of control. You're ruining my life." I didn't respond, not because I was cruel, but because I was done speaking to someone who only understood manipulation. In mediation, my attorney laid everything on the table. Marital funds used on an affair, fraudulent financial activity, a secret joint account, evidence of emotional abandonment. The mediator's tone changed immediately. Given the circumstances, Raina is entitled to the majority of assets. Landon's mouth hung open. "You can't be serious." The mediator sighed. "You made these choices. These are the consequences." In the end, I kept the house. I kept the savings. I kept the retirement accounts. I received compensation for marital asset misuse. He left with debt, his car, and a duffel bag of clothes. I walked out of the courthouse free. Not victorious. Not triumphant. Free. There is no revenge sweeter than peace. Months passed. I planted a garden in my backyard. I painted my kitchen. I joined a woodworking class. I reconnected with my old friends. I started journaling again. And slowly, a new version of me emerged. Not the quiet woman who accepted crumbs. Not the patient woman who tolerated disrespect. A woman who knew her worth, protected her peace, and chose herself. Deliberately, unapologetically, fully. One evening as I walked out of a local bookstore, I saw him. Landon. Alone. Disheveled. Tired. A shadow of the man who once strutted through life. He looked at me weakly. "Raina." His voice cracked. "I lost everything." I nodded gently. "I'm sorry you're hurting," I said. "No one deserves pain." He swallowed hard. "Do you hate me?" I shook my head. "No. I don't hate you. I've simply moved on." That moment broke him more than anything else. Because the opposite of love isn't hate. It's indifference. I walked away, leaving him standing under a flickering streetlight. A man undone by his own choices. Not by my revenge. If you've ever been underestimated, if someone has ever betrayed you, erased you, or broken you at your weakest moment, this story is for you. Quiet people are not weak. Patient people are not blind. Kind people are not naive. You have more power than you know. And sometimes the greatest revenge isn't destruction. It's rebuilding yourself so completely that the person who hurt you no longer recognizes the version of you they once tried to break. Drop your own stories in the comments. Tell us how you rose. Tell us how you healed. And if you want more stories of quiet power, justice, and reclaiming your life, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. This is Revenge with Raina. And this was my story.